we are celebrating and welcoming the 13 to 15-year-olds into Big Church. And I'd like Wian and Michal to come up. They're going to just share a little bit of what Kids Church has meant to them in the past few years. There we go. So these two guys were awarded with the most faithful babies of 2008 when church started, a few years after church started. And they have been faithfully attending for 13 years now. So yes, guys, tell me, how has Kids Church impacted you? Wian, maybe you can start.
Yes, thank you, Auntie Koba. Yes, Kids Church just taught me why going to church is so important. And going to church should not be optional, but it should be a lifestyle. And it also gave me the opportunity to make like-minded friends who love Jesus with their whole heart and follow him, like my friend Michal, for example.
Nice. So, Michal, can you agree with Wian? But don't say anything negative. This is my job, you know, and Dad's watching from somewhere.
I completely agree with Wian. And just from my part, I think it's a great introduction to worship and praying and meeting the Lord. And as kids, it's not always as fun just doing that, but I love it when the teachers chime it in with fun and games.
Yes.
And I also think the transition from kids' church to grown-up church is very important to grow as a Christian.
Yes, that's so cool. And Wian, maybe you can also, I can just testify as parents, as Sonika and Andre, parents of these kids. We are just so blessed to see how the Lord works in their lives, how they respond to the Lord, how God's friendship and voice just makes them come alive. It blesses our hearts so much. Wian, name some opportunities that we gave you at Kids Church over the past few years.
Yes. Kids Church gave me the opportunity to get baptized at the age of 6, and that completely changed my life.
Oh yeah, I remember that when we were still kids.
Yes. And Kids Church also gave me the opportunity to serve the younger kids and just help them to grow in their faith and relationship with the Lord.
Yes, so true. Wian and Michal has been serving as helpers on the media and the sound desk at Kids Church, together with lots of these young people in front, at the 3 to 5-year-olds, serving as helpers. I actually don't think we can do Kids Church without them anymore. They are irreplaceable. So thank you very much for that. You can join them at the bottom. Welcome to the stage. It's not a new place for you. So, which is how we actually didn't pick you off the street and place you in the worship team just like that. Where did your journey start in Shofar?
My parents and I came to Shofar about 6 years ago. At the time, I was a little bit too old to get into the kids' church, but immediately afterwards I joined the youth. And that is ultimately where the journey started for me. And then I started regularly coming to Sunday churches, and from there it's just, history.
Cool. And how did youth impact you?
Youth is ultimately what kick-started my journey with God. And the worship, I started to engage more. The messages were also they taught me the basic things, I had basic questions that needed answered, and that's where that happened. And the smaller groups also, I realized where I was spiritually. And when you realize that, then you can take it up a notch. So that's what the youth did for me. And it just took me that level up further. It made me more comfortable here. I felt so welcomed.
Cool. And then when did you start in the worship team? And how did that impact your spiritual journey?
I started with the worship team about 2 years ago. It was first with the youth band that had started up and then COVID hit and then it just kind of went away. So I did that once or twice, got the feel for it in front of the younger crowd. And then about a year later or so, I started with the evening services. And that was just kind of introductory, not such a big crowd, but it kind of, gave me that introduction when I needed to do the worship. Then this year I started with morning services, which it ultimately just took me another level. I experienced encounters and connections here on the corner of the stage more than I would, sometimes standing in the worship, because it runs through you, that fire, When you're playing here, you can just use your talent to praise and glorify God. It's amazing.
Wow.